Up until this point in the course, we've had a look at the dangers arising from vehicles coming from different directions to what you may be traveling, either from right angles, the side, the opposite side, oncoming vehicles. We've even had a look at vehicles traveling in the same direction as what we are. In this video, however, we're having a look at a vehicle coming from directly behind us, and the danger arises when we're approaching a traffic light. It's turned red, and so we brake harshly in order to stop in time before we reach the intersection. But the danger is that any vehicles that are following behind us, either in close proximity or traveling at a higher speed, they are then going to rear end us and impact us from behind. So that's what we're covering now. Let's just run the animation to see this point in action. There we go. So the driver of the front rear vehicle braking harshly, and the driver behind him doesn't have the time or the reflexes in order to be able to slow down properly and rides directly into the back of him. So this is one of the points we've got to consider when we're approaching an intersection, and we've covered this point before on traffic lights and amber. So as a traffic light goes amber, how do you know whether to either go or stop at an intersection? I'll put a link to that video in the description section of this video below, and there's also a question on the website that covers the factors involved in making that decision as to whether to go or to stop at a traffic light when it turns amber. One of those factors is exactly what we've seen here. Is there a risk posed by vehicles coming directly from behind us? So if we're going to be braking, always make sure that there's not going to be a vehicle behind us that's going to then impact us, and that's going to help us make a decision as to what we're going to do at the intersection. It could be that vehicles are already crossing the intersection, so we don't have any other option other than to stop. But if it's multiple lane like this, perhaps the lane just adjacent to us is going to be clear, and so we can quickly move into that lane and then brake harshly so that the vehicle doesn't impact us from behind. So we've got all these factors to take into account, but what this means is that we need to be aware of what's happening around us. So if the driver is to brake harshly and avoid any impact, he's got to be aware of whether there are any vehicles behind him that actually pose a risk or threat. So when you're approaching an intersection, not only to take note of what's happening ahead of you, 360 degrees in the intersection itself, but also what's happening behind you. In this real life clip, we'll see the driver of this vehicle braking fairly harshly, and so he's rear-ended. Now, if you have a look at the circumstances here, note that there's only a side road from the left. There aren't any vehicles in that side road that would threaten this driver by now suddenly shooting into the intersection. And so he wasn't at risk from any vehicles coming from the left. There's no road to the right, so there's no threat from vehicles from the right. Had he shot across the intersection, he wouldn't have impacted any other vehicle, so there wasn't a risk in him doing so. Maybe he had braked harshly because there could be a traffic camera to record him now crossing through the intersection on red. Maybe he's trying to avoid a fine. But if it's now weighing up a decision between either being rear-ended or to pay a fine, which is going to work out cheaper? So he could have also had the space, had he noted the vehicle behind him, to have actually moved across slightly to the left so that this vehicle would shoot past him once he brakes. The other danger when it comes to a traffic light and slowing down or stopping is when the traffic light is green. So that's unexpected. Vehicles behind you aren't expecting any vehicles ahead of them to be either slowing down or stopping on a green traffic light. So if you do that, you know that you're going to pose a risk and a threat to any vehicles coming up from behind.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.